There are two diet phases you have to go through if you want to build muscle effectively. So those are cutting, like bulking and cutting. So I'm gonna quickly talk about them in this video. First one, bulking. Of course, there's also maintaining. So bulking is when you eat in a caloric surplus. That's what I'm currently doing. So I'll eat more than the amount of calories I burn in a day. So I'm currently gaining weight. And the reason why you bulk is because to build muscle effectively, to build muscle fast and build effectively in general, it is way better to be in a caloric surplus. If you want to stay at the same weight, you don't want to gain weight, just want to stay there, trust me, you're gonna struggle. Over the last few months, I wasn't trying to bulk, and I assumed, yeah, I can still build muscle without bulking. And it is still possible, but it's gonna be painfully slow. I've built most of my muscle mass in my first bulk. Most, like 95% of my muscle mass was during my first walk. And the thing is, at that time, I wasn't even training that, my training wasn't even that optimal. Like I wasn't even training that well. I wasn't very smart when it came to my training. It wasn't very effective. I wasn't even training that hard. But the simple fact that I was in a caloric surplus helped me build a lot more muscle. So now I'm bulking again. I started bulking around 2 weeks ago, like 1 week ago, I think. And I plan to bulk for the next 4 or 5 months to gain like until I reach like 90 kg, 92 kg. Right now I'm at 83. So that's my goal. Because I know it's so much more effective whilst you're bulking to build muscle. And I know I'm going to be able to build a lot more muscle because now I have a lot more knowledge when it comes to my training. I'm a lot smarter when it comes to my training. And when I add that little boost of being in a caloric surplus, I know it will just help me just take off when it comes to gains. So you need to bulk, and to bulk, like I said, you need to simply be in a caloric surplus. A caloric surplus means you eat more than you burn. You eat more than you burn. Now, cutting. You need to cut at the same time. Cutting, whilst you're cutting, like I said, to build muscle effectively and fast, you need to be in a caloric surplus. Whilst you're cutting, you eat like you're in a caloric deficit. So you eat less than you burn. So you're actually losing weight. And you might be thinking, why should I do that if I know to build muscle I need to be in a caloric surplus? The reason why you cut is to remove the fat you've stacked up over the bulk. So whilst you're bulking, you're gonna gain some fat. Just accept it. Just you're gonna gain some fat. If you bulk fast enough, if you don't bulk super slowly, you're gonna gain a little bit of fat. A little bit. If you dirty bulk now, and when I say bulk, I don't mean you should be in an extreme surplus. You should be in a surplus that helps you gain around 0.5 to 1.5, maximum of 2 kilograms per month. You shouldn't really go over 2 kilograms per month. If you're still very a beginner, you still have newbie gains, yeah, then you can like go and try, or you have good genetics, then you can go and try and gain 2 kilograms per month. But going over that is definitely not a good idea because you don't get any extra, you don't build any extra muscle and you gain extra fat. So that means you have to cut for longer and be in a caloric deficit for longer, be away from the bulk for longer, and that's not what you want. So you cut by eating less calories than you burn. You cut so you can get the fat, you can get rid of the fat so you can go back into bulking. You bulk for a while, for 3, 7, 8, 9, 10 months, as long as you need. It depends on how the length of a bulk depends on how much body fat you had at the beginning of the bulk before you started bulking. Different things, how slowly you bulked, and it can be different factors. But I would say for 3 to 12 months is a good time frame. It then depends on you to see how long you want to bulk. But then you cut, and to cut you need to be in a caloric deficit, and the time frame can vary a lot. I would say 1 month to 3 months or 4 months is a good time frame for cutting. But most of the time, try to cut. Don't try to not waste too much time on cutting, because time away from bulking is time away from effective gains. That's something you need to understand, especially as a beginner when you're trying to really build your dream physique fast, understand that time away from bulking is time away from effective gains. When you're cutting, understand you're not going to build any significant amount of muscle. You're probably not going to build any muscle at all. So having a split, maybe if you bulk for 6 months, cutting for 3 months, I think it's a good time frame. You bulk for 6 months, you cut for 3 months. You go back down to normal or even lean body fat, and then you go into another bulk. But you shouldn't be cutting for too long or being in a maintained. I wouldn't recommend to stay at the same weight for a while, because you're not gonna notice any. Trust me, even I, for the last few months, I thought I was gonna make some great gains even whilst maintaining. You're not gonna make any significant muscle gain when you're just staying at the same body weight, when you're not eating in a caloric surplus at all. Even if your training is so optimal, if you aren't in a caloric surplus, the gains are gonna be slow. They can still be there, but they're gonna be slow. They're gonna be slow. So really understand how bulking is just like a cheat code. It's simply, it makes the whole muscle building process, makes everything easier, makes everything a lot faster, a lot easier. So you need to bulk. A simple way to make bulking and cutting a lot easier for you and make a lot more simple for you is simply to track your calories. So I use an app called MyFitnessPal, and I would recommend you install it. You can have it on your iPhone or Android. MyFitnessPal, you install it, and you can basically you tell them what's your height, weight, age, and your goal, and how active you are, and then they tell you the amount of calories you need to eat to actually reach your goal, to maybe lose weight or maybe gain weight, to maybe lose 0.2 kilograms per week, or maybe 0.5 or maybe 1 kilogram per week, depending on your goal, or maybe gain weight. So it makes the process of tracking calories and eating in a surplus or a deficit, it makes the whole process a lot easier by simply using MyFitnessPal. It can be any app, but it makes it easier. And then you can just track your calories in that same app. You can simply track your calories. It makes it very easy. Tracking calories always seems so difficult, but honestly, it isn't as difficult as it seems. It isn't as difficult as it seems. I thought it was super difficult, that's why I didn't want to do it in the beginning. But when I actually try to do it, it's very simple. After one day of doing it, you just understand how easy it is. It really isn't difficult. But you need to do it. I would recommend you definitely track your calories. Don't try to bulk or cut without tracking your calories. I think it's just, especially if you've bulked and cut and you experience and you've done it many times, you've gone through many bulks and cuts, then maybe you can try doing it without tracking your calories. But if you haven't, if you've never even tried to intentionally gain weight or intentionally lose weight while tracking your calories, then I would definitely not recommend you to try to just not track your calories and just go by instinct and just try to assume how much you need to eat to gain or lose weight. So yeah, that's pretty much all I would have to say here. I just want to give you some basic knowledge that isn't too complicated about diet when it comes to training. Those are the two most important phases you have to go through when it comes to diet: bulking and cutting. You can also maintain, but try to minimize those phases of just maintainment. Okay, when you're transitioning between bulking and cutting, yeah, you can have a phase for 2 weeks where you're just maintaining weight, but you don't want to spend too much time, especially in the beginning. If you're not right now, you're satisfied with your physique, and you just want to maintain the same weight, you're not really trying to get any bigger, then yeah, that's the point where you can just say, okay, I will maintain my current weight. But if you're very far from having reached that level yet, I would recommend you bulk and try to gain weight. And use cutting to actually strip off the fat so you can go back into bulking. Because when you're in a calorie surplus, you just build muscle a lot faster and a lot more effectively. So yeah, that's all I have to say. If you're interested in my one-on-one fitness coaching, you can click the first thing in the description. Don't worry if I'm looking for it. Chase it.